Okay everyone, thanks for all your really helpful comments on Tuesday's video. We will be implementing them and videoing it as well at the same time, but yeah, great, thanks. Really helpful comments. So this week we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to do 10 things that you need to consider when buying property in central Portugal. And we're going to do it in order of the most important, what we think, to the least important, but all 10 are really important. And yeah, and we may have a couple of extra bonus things to add at the end as well. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, so here goes. Number 1, view. Yeah, you can't, if you buy somewhere without a view, you can't buy a view. But you can buy somewhere with a view. Yeah, does that make sense? And along with the view comes also like a feeling of you need to go and see the house. You know, you get a feeling about these old granite places, and yeah, you know, you feel if you like it or not, basically. So yeah, it's one of the most important things, in our opinion, is the view. This is our view from out the back, and I'll show you the view out the front. So obviously we got the view through the moon gate up to the village and the Gardenia mountains in the background. And I suppose you could say, like, features on your land could also be included in the view, you know? Big rocks and stuff. Big trees. But also, yeah, darling. Yeah, just the overall feeling of the house could be included in view. And here's our view from the front of the house. Some more of the Gardenia. Some more of the village. And some noisy turkeys. Yeah, so you've also, part of the view title is, you know, you might have big electric pylons and stuff on your land. We've got an electric pole and one beside the house, obviously, but yeah, hidden by trees, so that's a good thing. You don't really notice them. I also think under the title of view you could include like trees which have been here for hundreds of years on our property, you know. We're a bit further down now below where the quail house will be, but our land covers over many levels and we've got lots of terraces, but you know, you could also include trees in your view, really, and rocks. Under the same title, I suppose you could have ponds and streams and rivers, all part of your view, general view. And just how the place feels. So if you're going to buy somewhere, make sure you like how it all feels, yeah? So again, we do have these quite big electric pylons on our land, big one there. But you can hardly see the cable, yeah? And it runs all the way over to this pylon behind the tree. But you don't notice it, so we don't mind, you know? There we go. But like I said, it's not noticeable. Okay, this is our neighbour, João. And this is his, see? This is his, like what you call a weekend kitchen. So, sorry guys, this is point 2. This fabulous building, 2 bedrooms, big room downstairs, lots of land with it. This is not legally habitable. See? So he's got três hectares. Três?
Sim, sim.
Sim?
Uma tudo.
3 hectares of olives. Quantas azeitonas?
4.000 quilos. Dá 4.000 quilos de
4.000.
azeitona.
Ok. E...
Oliveiras.
Wow, oliveiras.
Só 130.
Uh-huh.
Olha aqui, filma aqui a mesa.
So yeah, this lovely building. He comes here generally weekends. So you're allowed to spend a couple nights here at the weekend for harvesting, or whenever. It doesn't have to be the weekend, for harvesting crops, etc. But it's not legally habitable full time. So more on point 2. Yeah, there are a lot of properties for sale here in central Portugal with habitable, that are legally habitable. A lot of people say a habitable license. I don't think there's any such thing as a license, but it has to be registered as an urban article with the camera. Like Cindy Vine's place is, registered as a house, a habitable house. So she's fine, but there are other places that, they say they're habitable, just like Joao's place. But it's actually not. It's you can live in it a couple of days a week, but if you start living there full time, you're going to run into trouble with the camera, basically. So when we bought here, one of the things was really important for us was to get somewhere that was habitable. And as you can see from our place, I'll show you the front of the house in a minute. So as you can see from the front of our place, that's a new door. Well, it wasn't a new door. We've changed where the doors are. We've blocked this door up. As you can see, there's a window either side of this door. The original granite house runs all the way over there, and this was an extension here put on, this one from here to there, put on in the 80s, I think. But as you can see, this was originally a house. It's fairly obvious, the chimney and stuff, and yeah, and it's also registered as a house. Point number 3, guys, electricity. Yeah, most of the time here in central Portugal, if you're on a remote, rural building, you're going to need solar panels like these, which come at a cost. So as well as the solar panels, obviously you're going to need batteries to store your energy, and in this box is all the converters and basically everything that turns that energy into 240 volts, or inverters I should say, and charge controllers, etc, etc. And you're also going to need a backup generator, because unfortunately I've seen some very, very expensive systems here, 80,000 euros worth plus, and when they use a bit of electric and it's dark for a few days, they run out of electric. So I would strongly suggest, if you get the opportunity, if you're buying a property that has an electrical supply, or has electric nearby, and it won't cost that much, getting municipal electric is so much cheaper than going for the solar option. Although not as green, maybe. I suggest you have a modern meter fitted. This is a smart meter, and yeah, they're really efficient. And bear in mind, Portugal, all of Portugal's electric at the moment is generated by renewable energy. Okay guys, another point on the green side of things, environmentally friendly. If you're lucky enough to have an electrical supply to your house that you want to buy, most of the electric generated by EDP in Portugal is from renewable sources, so it's either hydroelectric or wind or solar. So there you go. So going back to the having mains electric fitted, I reckon like 2 people in a little house, your electric's not going to be much more than 40 euros a month. So that's something to bear in mind, where some people I know have had quotes recently for a small solar system, anywhere between 15 and 20,000 just for a small system. Okay guys, you probably guessed it, our next point is something to consider: water. we're lucky enough to have gravity fed water to this tank from the water holding tank at the top of our land, which is fed by a spring, and also the water that comes out of the pipe we fitted the other day is excess water coming or spilling over the well. So we have well water and spring water from tanks here, which you can, if you've got a tank, you can pipe it around. Shouldn't be doing this, Andrew will kill me. And yeah, very useful if you want to grow vegetables, guys, to have lots of water, because summertime you'll be watering probably first thing in the morning and last thing at night, unless you can mulch everything to stop evaporation, etc. But yeah, and as for water for your house, yeah, water for your house, if you've got this is constant year-round water, so we could use this via a pump here, and a filter and some more filter arrangements, and use turkeys and use filters. This is a used one, obviously very dirty, and a series of filters, etc., to get nice clean drinking water at your house. Alternatively, you could have a municipal water through a water meter, and to be honest, it's we have municipal water, we find it very cheap, our bills never being over 18 euros per month. Okay, so or alternatively you could have a borehole. Yep. So a lot of properties here without municipal water have a borehole through a series of filters, and then you get the water tested at the university or wherever. Lots of places do water testing, and yeah, and it's an alternative. The only thing you've got to think of is if you've got a borehole and it's deep, some of it 90, 100 meters deep, then you have to have a fairly big water pump to pump the water 90 meters from where it comes from up the pipe. Yeah. To run a water pump, to do that, you need, you know, a large electric supply, and that's also something to consider. Time you take into account your filters, you know, you got to change your filters often. You got to get your water tested fairly often. Electric supply for a big pump, etc. You know, usually it's not too bad, but it could be a lot more expensive. We have neighbours who have I think it's a 90 meter pump, but they're potencia, so you pay more for your electric because you need a bigger supply of electric. Their electric bills are coming in at around 60 to 70 euros a month. So yeah, it's just something to consider. Another thing with water is wastewater. Dirty subject no one wants to talk about, but you know, if you're buying property, you need to check if you've got a septic tank or you're on mains, but if it's a rural property, probably be a septic tank, or you can build reed beds or whatever, but somehow or another your wastewater has to be dealt with. Here we have a septic tank, just the two of us most of the time. It's not terribly big, 2 meters by 3, possibly 2 by 2.5 meters, so 8 foot by 6 foot something. It's still not full after 3 years, you know, so because it evaporates and, you know, it biodigests itself, etc., etc. But something to consider: wastewater as well as fresh water. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Next point to consider. Do you go down the DIY route? I'll do all the work myself, no problem, or do you get a builder in? Both of them have problems. Okay, you've got to be real with your, if you're going to do it yourself, your skill set. Like my wife keeps telling me, you know, you've got to be capable of actually doing what you think you can do. Yeah, there's a big difference, and I'll show you some DIY stuff around our place. Yeah, so here we go. This is DIY pointing skills, yeah. You know, some people might be happy with this. These concrete blobs here. But yeah, you know, this is like someone's attempts at doing some pointing and stuff. DIY, I should imagine. I shouldn't imagine a professional would have left it like that. But it's something you need to consider, you know. If you're happy with this, if you could do this yourself, then fine. Go for it. It's going to be cheap doing it yourself. So just to show you, here's some pointing I done. I'm not saying I'm, you know, the be all and end all of pointing. I've done a fair bit of it in my time. And then you can compare that to some DIY pointing just below it, which it's going to take me ages to chip off. But see, you know, just so you can see the difference, guys, between someone that sort of knows what they're doing pointing and someone that thinks they know what they're doing pointing. Yeah. Yeah, and that point goes with basically all builders as well. You know, some of them promise a lot and don't deliver much. You know, it's the same worldwide. Builders have a bad reputation, sadly. But you get a good builder, and then yeah, your job's going to go great. Or do it yourself if you know what you're doing. That's fine as well. You know, but just something to bear in mind. Some jobs are a bit trickier than your skill sets could possibly reach to, yeah. And microphone. Okay, and also something you need to consider is if your house or cottage or ruin or hovel, whatever you'd like to call it, if it needs major rebuild or something, or a new roof or something like that. You also have to consider whether you need planning permission to do any of that. Yeah, depending on the region, the district you are, depending on the junta, the freguesia, depending on local camera. It all depends on lots of things. You may need planning permission to do a lot of stuff, so that's something else you need to check into. Obviously, if you buy a house which is habitable and needs a bit of doing up, you can do all of that, most of that stuff without altering the footprint of the house. You can do all that without planning, but certain things, if you put an extension on or add to it, you're going to need planning, I would have said. Yeah, I'm not an expert on Portuguese planning laws, etc., etc., but I'm just saying something you need to consider if you want to make your house, turn it from 100 square meters to 5,000 square meters. You can have trouble. You can have trouble with lots of people. Another point to consider, point number 6, the size of the land that you want. How much land do you really need in central Portugal? So we here have nearly 4 hectares, yeah? But, it's gone windy. But, 2 hectares of that land is flat terraces. Easy to either control with, graze with animals, especially turkeys, or to chop the mower. We're in the process of obviously fencing all ours off, but 2 hectares of our land is fairly easy to maintain, because you're going to have to abide by the Portuguese, yeah, like I was saying, you're going to have to abide by the sort of the Portuguese fire regulations. So if you're, I'll look it up in a minute, but get the facts right, but like, if you have land that's anywhere near houses, etc., there's a lot of rules and a lot of things you have to abide by. And grass like this, come the summer, this has to be all cut down, and it's not allowed to be more than 200 mil, 20 centimeters, 8 inches high, all the way around. So there's a lot of work. If you've got 50 hectares, yeah, best of luck to you, you're going to be busy. Yeah, all this stuff has to be cleaned up before the summer to prevent it being a fire risk. So I'm going to read off the Portugal Residents Rural Fire Prevention and Protection list. Yeah, so there's a top 10 action list that they recommend that you check if you're living in a high risk fire area. Undertake land cleaning without delay, and if advice is required, contact the local civil protection or hotline on 808 200 520. There's a deadline of the 15th of March. Okay. Neighbouring land, if it poses a fire risk and it cannot be resolved, so if you've got land next to you that's a fire risk, you can phone the GNR and they will sort it out. so I'm led to believe. You need to prepare your house for the threat of fire. So like you've got to clean your roof and all your terraces and leaves from your gutters, etc. You've got to have controlled burning of all debris that you do in the winter months like we do. So you have to phone up, or use an app, but you have to phone up and book a fire, tell them where it is, who you are, etc. Give them your NIF number and just register it so they know if there's a fire in your area, they know that it's, you know, your fire, not a bushfire. Yeah. Also, you have to familiarise yourself, obviously, with some villages have a safe people program. Lots of things going on. If you're in a high risk area, you know, there are emergency contact numbers you need to keep at hand. And there's also in some places village evacuation plans and assembly points. Yeah, and if you want to keep up to date with all of this stuff, something you need to check if you know the property you're trying to buy or want to buy is in a high risk area. All this stuff you have to do and check beforehand. And you can keep up to date with all of it on the ICNF website, or the ANPC, IPMA, or the SCP. Lots of letters and stuff, yeah. But TLAs. Lots of TLAs, yeah. So yeah, fire risk, you know, and the size of your land is a big thing to consider. Another thing now, point number 7. Point number 7 to consider is your proximity to the village or the town, or if you want to be isolated. It's your choice, you can do what you like, but just to consider if you buy somewhere that's really isolated, yeah, sometimes, you know, if you're a social person or whatever, why would you buy somewhere isolated? But, you know, sometimes people do. That, oh yeah, it's lovely to be on my own, and then you find after you've been on your own for a few months, like, you really need company, you're bored, you want to go to the pub, whatever. Something that needs, you know, serious consideration. The advantages of being closer to a village, or in the village, or in a town, whatever, is you've got bars, restaurants, all right there, really handy, really convenient. You probably have mains water, mains electric, mains sewage, everything. So it's easier. It's an easier life, yeah. But also then you'll have to learn the language a lot quicker. You know, which isn't a bad thing. You'll have to, yeah, and you'll have to integrate with most of the locals, which is a great thing to do. But some people might not want to do that. So, you know, considerations and all those things. And the points about being isolated are, whoa, if you fall off a step ladder, yeah, and like my mother used to say to me, if you fall off that thing and break both your legs, don't come running to me. Yeah, that, you know, if you could be outside up a tree somewhere, up a cherry tree, and fall down and, you know, damage yourself and you can't move, and you didn't happen to have a phone on you or whatever, and you shout, no one's going to hear you. That type of thing, you know, needs to be considered. If you're on your own, here you are on your own. There's lots of vast areas of nothingness and not many people around, so something to consider. Yeah. Okay, guys. Point number 8: access to your property. Yeah. We've seen a lot of properties for sale here. We've been to a lot of properties where you virtually need a 4-wheel drive just to get down the track, which could be a public road. Just because it's a dirt track doesn't mean it's not a public road. Yeah, we've been to a few, and it's like, ooh, you know, because you've got to consider with access, if you have deliveries, if you're going to do some building work, etc., the people have to get there with deliveries, or you have to either have a truck or something big enough to bring stuff to your property. And if your access road is crap, basically you're not going to be happy. You know, sometimes a bit too narrow. We have friends with a very narrow track, and they're lucky they can just about get a delivery, but they have to be very careful on the size of truck they have to bring the delivery, you know, so it's something you have to consider. A lot of people don't think about it before they buy, and then also how close the road is or the access is to your actual house. So if you've got 5 pallets of blocks turning up on a big lorry, maybe the road's wide enough for the big lorry, but the lorry can't get within 200 yards of your house. You have to get 5 pallets of blocks 200 yards to your house. It's yeah, something, you know, we found that with building for years that if you can get your materials delivered to the point that you need them, saves you a load of hassle, saves you a load of work. So something to consider. Yeah, another point Andrew's just pointed out to me, my glamorous assistant here doing some gardening, is post and deliveries, whether you buy stuff from Amazon, whatever, or your weekly post.
Saves us a fortune, actually.
It saves us a fortune because we don't get much from Amazon anymore. Yeah, but you know, we're a bit too remote here for the postman to come to us, so all our post is taken to the post office, and we collect it. We go and pick it up, which I've got to do now. You know, every couple of days, whatever. The problem is, if you're really remote, we're not that remote, but if you're more remote than us, then yeah, you're going to have to arrange for your post to be delivered somewhere. And if you get in villages without a post office, like where Cindy Vine lives in Marcianus, she gets her post delivered to I think the local pub or the local padaria, local bakery or cafe. Yeah. So yeah, that's something as well you're going to have to get used to living in rural central Portugal. Yeah, point one. Yeah, another point Andrew's just pointed out about access is if you come over here with your new Lamborghini Aventador or something like that.
Yeah, we had to sell ours.
Yeah, we had to sell ours, but yeah, your Lamborghini isn't going to make it down most of these tracks, guys, so you might have to change it for a pickup truck. That would be my advice anyway. Okay guys, here we go. Point number 9. Variety of vegetation and plants on your farm, yeah? We chose this place because of the variety of, well, not the only reason, but because of the variety of plants we have here. We have lots of olive trees, which gives us now, giving us about 120 litres of olive oil a year. We have lots of oranges, which I'm experimenting with orange wine, but because you won't sell oranges here, guys. Yeah, we got about 50 orange trees. We're planting trees as well, which stuff we haven't got, like almonds and walnuts and apples. We haven't got many apples here. Yeah, but we've got pear trees, persimmons. We have figs, lots of varieties of figs. Grapes, we have grapes for wine and table grapes as well, lots of cherries, and we have plums, peaches, etc, etc. So a good variety is always good.
And also our woodland.
Yeah, and another thing about the plants and stuff is we have about 2 acres of woodland, which a good point is we have enough wood to keep us going through the winter all year. So we got like perpetual wood, yeah, because it grows so fast here. So we have enough wood to keep us in fuel, so we don't have to go and buy firewood, which is fairly cheap here, but we don't have to go and buy firewood because we've got our own. So I know you've got to put the work in to do it. You don't get anything for nothing anywhere in this world, but something to consider. Within your land is a patch of woodland, whether it be eucalyptus or mimosa, pine, oak, whatever. Make sure it's the right oak. You can't cut down cork oak, because then you can't cut down holm oaks. Yeah, here they're protected species, both of those. And there's a few other things that have a sort of a protection thing on. Willow, for instance, some willows have are protected as well. Yeah, so there. Yeah, so something to consider. A bit of woodland is great for us. It's further away from the house. The caterpillars on the pines are a bit of an issue, which we're dealing with. But yeah, that's really a variety of plants. I'll show you some of the stuff we have. Yeah, so here's a beautiful almond tree we planted. This one's only I've got it strapped up because it's taking a battering with the wind. But this one's only 3 years old. Yeah, we're going to get quite a few almonds off that this year, I believe. Next to it we've planted a peach tree. We had 4 off it last year. I'm hoping for 6 this year. Yeah, we have walnuts, wind. Yeah, big cherry tree next to the house, and then some big cork oaks next to the house as well. Provides good shade. Yeah, we've also got lots of beautiful wildflowers. Yeah, as you can see, this is our sort of back lawn. How's that sound? Yeah, and just, you know, a great variety of everything. And Angie's planting these. What were they again?
Some sort of aloe.
Angie's planting these aloes like we got out the front in this little crevice because it tends to stay more moist. Yeah, and we also have a few of these giant yuccas dotted around. Yeah, just it's lovely to have a variety of plants everywhere. We've got arum lilies and stuff. A few more cherry trees, and around the other side. Okay, guys. Internet connection, something nowadays is like almost a must. You know, for lots of people, a lot of people earn money from the internet, work from the internet. We know several people who are locally working from here and basically earning a living from here. So yeah, the internet connection, whether you go for 4G, 5G coming soon here, everywhere. Portugal's really up to date with their internet connections. Yeah, we have, surprisingly enough, full fibre broadband here. We only pay for the small package, which is, I think, 100 meg.
I
Can't remember. But we can go up to 500 meg if we want. Apparently that's really good. Yeah, so internet connection. If you do work from home, if you're a YouTuber, whatever, you know, whatever, you're going to need a good internet connection. Some areas we've been to, you can't even get a phone signal, so you'll not get, you know, and if it's that remote, you won't get an internet. If you got no phone signal, you won't have broadband there by any means. Yeah, so could prove difficult. I do know a couple that live near Pampilhosa, who have a caravan on top of a hill because they live in a bit of a depression, and the only time they can get a signal is in the caravan at the top of the hill. So yeah, it's a bit of a faff to get a connection, but then, you know, it's something you have to consider. And then obviously leading on from having an internet connection is money. Yeah, yeah, Central Portugal is a poor area, generally speaking, and you're not going to make a fortune here. You're probably not going to get a job here, to be honest. You know, there's not much work here. You're not going to come here and get a job and earn 1,500 quid a month. No, not a chance. The average wage is, I think, 600 a month. So if you don't have an income, you're not going to get one here, basically. You're not going to sell oranges and fruits and stuff here. You know, you're not going to make a fortune out of it. Olive oil, yeah. Everyone's got all that stuff. You know, every house has orange trees, lemon trees, all that stuff. Everyone grows vegetables. So yeah, it's not going to be an easy thing to make money here. What you can do is campsites, you know, yurts. Some people do yurts or yoga. Yeah, there's all that stuff everywhere. Yeah, you know, if you don't have an income, you, like I said, you probably won't make a living here, unfortunately. There are things you can do. You know, I'm not saying that's it. Don't come here if you ain't got an income, but it's going to be harder to make money here by any means. Whether you can grow vegetables and sell it, you can carve soap, you can make soap and all that stuff, yeah. But everyone is doing all that stuff. So, you know, you can buy a cherry farm and pick all your cherries, but bear in mind, if you buy a cherry farm to make a living from, you need thousands of trees, and the harvest period is only a couple of weeks. So you need to get labour in for a couple of weeks to pick those thousands of trees to make a massive amount of money in a short period of time. But how many acres of cherries do you need to make a living with? And that answer is quite a lot, you know. We've done a rough sort of thing with olive oil. Yeah, I think to make a living, yearly living that you can live on here, the cost of living is cheap. I think you'd need 3,000, probably a few more, but 3,000, you know, average size olive trees to make a living for 2 of you for a year, yeah? But there's no way you could harvest 3,000 trees on your own without some help, without mechanical help, whatever. So yeah, I don't think if you've got 100 olive trees that you're going to pick them all by hand and make, you know, artisan olive oil and whatever, and make soap, etc., etc. You can make all that stuff. You're not going to make a living, unfortunately. And another quick note before we end is social life. You have to consider, you know, if you want to be in touch with expats, etc., from whatever country you're from. Yeah, there's several around. There's, for us, we have lots of British friends here, but we also have lots of Portuguese friends. And yeah, integrating into the local society is a great thing to do. And you get invited to parties and stuff and experience things you've never done before, which is really great, you know. And had bacalhau in many different ways, which you've never thought possible. Yeah, but it's great for us integrating with the locals, integrating with people, like-minded people that have moved here, you know, from different countries, South Africa and France, Israel, Korea, Italy, all over the place, you know. So it's a very varied society here, which is great. We love it. We absolutely love it. Okay, and the last point, a really nasty one for us. We really messed up. Vehicles. Yeah, if you bring a vehicle here from anywhere, I do believe, anywhere outside of Portugal, they really want to tax you a lot on it. And matriculating, well, you know, what's matriculate mean? Registering your vehicle here from the UK can be done. It's going to cost you a bit, and they need lots of people done. You have to have owned the vehicle for 6 months, and you have to register it or matriculate it within having been here a year. But there's also lots of other hoops to jump through. I do believe
it's not something that they like you to do.
No, they don't really want you to matriculate a foreign vehicle here. They want you to buy a Portuguese, you know, which is what we've done. We had to take one of our vehicles, both vehicles actually, back to the UK to be sold. One of them we wanted to matriculate here, but we were too late, too busy building the house, etc. And COVID messed things up a bit, and we didn't really get on with it, and we were too late to register it, and basically they wanted 17,000 in tax to matriculate it. Yeah, so we thought better take it back to the UK and sell it there. But yeah, matriculation of vehicles here are very expensive. We find vans are about the same price in the UK, but cars are usually half as expensive again on this. So if a car is worth 10 grand in the UK, it might be worth 15 here, maybe more, you know. Yeah, check out the second-hand car prices, yeah. But second-hand vans, compared to the UK, I can't say about Australia, America or anywhere else, but vans tend to be roughly the same price. So one of the reasons why we bought a van. Well, and another thing with vehicles here, most of the bigger roads are toll roads, and if you have a class 1 vehicle, it's relatively cheap to get around on tolls because the road tax isn't a lot here. But if you have like a big 4-wheel drive and you go on the toll roads, for instance, we had a Isuzu D-Max 4-wheel drive, big old thing, beautiful, lovely, loved it to bits, and was really sad we had to get rid of it. But the D-Max going to Lisbon and back cost us €77 in tolls. Just saying. So, here we are again. Hang on. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for putting up with me ranting on about stuff. Yeah, but it's a video we thought we had to do. We're getting so many questions in the comments and things. So we hope you find it useful. And if you need any more,
obviously, any other questions, let us know
in the comments. Yeah, you know, if there's any specific things you need to know, whatever. But
no guarantee we'll know the answer though.
We don't know nothing. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for liking. Thanks for subscribing. And see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.